Time for some more wiring. This time I'm going to hook up my fans. So I've got Chrysler 300M fans, which are very similar to the Dodge Intrepid fans. It's the Chrysler and Dodge versions of the vehicles, but the the 300M has a little bit better looking fans as far as more blades, like just higher quality. I'm guessing higher flow. Has a better shroud. The shroud on the Intrepid kind of ends right at the fans. This encloses the whole radiator. And it has two built-in relays. Price was the same at the junkyard, so I went with this one. So I've broke down my wiring to see what they did. There's only 4 wires going in to control both fans, so I wanted to see what was what. So I tore it all apart, checked it, and this is what I've come up with. So on the connector to the vehicle over there, there's little numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Black, blue, green, and yellow wires. So the black wire is the ground for fan 1, which is the driver's side. I'm just going to call it fan 1. Ground for fan 1, and it's the ground for the relay trigger signals. The blue wire, which is 2, is the power to fan 2. 3 wire, which is green, is the ground to fan 2. And plug number 4 is yellow, and that's the positive 12 volts to fan 1 and to the relays. So what I'm guessing is on the vehicle, in the fuse block or somewhere else, there's more relays that are controlling these wires, because the way this is, if you hook power and ground to these 4 wires, the fans would just run all the time. There's no control wires except for... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect ground, power, ground, and power, but I'm going to, these 2 relays, relay trigger wires, I'm going to disconnect those and run those separately from the PCM. So I'll be adding 2 extra wires. So my harness, when I'm done, will have 6 wires instead of 4. So I'm going to use the original 4, then run the 2 additional trigger wires that I need. I dug through my pile of wires, and what I found was 2 wires that I had depinned from a harness at some point. So they have the PCM connector on one end, and I just went with blue and green because those are the common fan relay wire colors. So they're a little probably longer than I need, but that'll be good. Got the end stripped, so I'm going to run these to the ground side of the trigger. And I'm going to take this up so we don't have any. Cat, you ready to hook some stuff up, buddy? Yeah? Alright, so what I got, fans obviously, got my wiring harness, I've got my power and my ground, I've got those clipped to the battery, which I'm just charging up because it's basically dead. Got my 2 little trigger wires down there, and right now nothing's running even though it's hooked up. I got the relays still unplugged. So I'm going to plug these in, and we should be able to connect the trigger wires to the negative, and the fan should run the correct direction, which will be blowing up towards me. Alright, nothing's smoking, so that's a good sign. Alright, first we'll test the green wire. Come on, dude. You're gonna get a finger chopped off. So first we'll test the green wire, which should be this fan here on the left, which is driver's side. And it's blowing the correct direction. Next, take the blue wire. That should be the passenger side. You want to test it, dude? Don't chop your finger off. Okay, I got the fans back installed in the car. Got my wire loom retaped up. Got it all pushed into position. What I did for power was I connected to this stud on the fuse block. And the advantage of using these studs is each stud has its own fuse there and there. This one's not there. I looked up the wiring for the 300M and it uses a 50 amp fuse for what it calls the fan control. And there's also a 40 amp fuse. So I'm not sure if the fans are 100 amps combined or 50 amps. So what I'm going to do, since I've way oversized all this, I'm going to take this 60 amp and I'm going to stick that up in there. So now that will power the stud. What, dude? You want to get on some of this action? Is that a no? So I got power, got my ground down to the chassis, got my blue and green wire over here, which are my signal wires, and I ran them up into the harness over here. I'm going to loom them. I ran them through the harness, and I'll show you how to add the pins to the harness. So the pins we're going to be adding: fan 1, blue number 42, fan 2, red 33. Blue 42 will do first. So blue 42 will do first. And on the back of these are these little numbers all along here. So we need to find number 42, which is that second pin right there. So the first thing you do is pull this colored connector off. And then there's a gasket in here, or membrane, or I'm not sure what they call it, to make it waterproof. So you got to pierce it with anything sharp. I just use my depinning tool. And you're going to slide this through. You want to be careful if you force these. Sometimes they'll break right there or right there. So make sure you got a nice pathway for it. And then just feed it in. There you go. You hear it snap and that little white piece retains it. Stick your colored clip back on. Fan 1's done. Same thing for fan 2. This one is red 33. So 33 is right here. Same thing. Pierce the membrane. Here it snap in place. Clip. Done. So now we'll connect our computer and I'll show you how to test these with HP tuners. Alright, so I've got my ignition forward, so my key's on, and I'm connected to the computer, PCM, with my computer, laptop, whatever you want to call it. So one of the things you can do with HP tuners is control your fans. Up here, there's a little green thing that says Special Functions and Vehicle Controls. So you can go to that, and you get this window. Gives you some different things. You can force things on and off and change things. And you don't have to pay any credits for this. This is just part of the whatever the diagnostic, the VCM scanner is the name. So the VCM scanner with the HP tuners module, you can do this without any credits at all to any vehicle you want. So you go to System and then Fans, and we can test them. So what this does, this sends a signal to the computer, tells the computer to turn the fans on and off. So you're making sure that the computer wiring is correct and the fans work. So fan number 1, click that on. Works good and it's blowing the correct direction. Test fan number 2. Same thing, works good, blowing the correct direction. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on both fans at once and see if I pop my fuse, because I'd rather do it now than when I'm driving around somewhere. Alright, so nothing popped, nothing got hot, nothing got smoky. I touched all the wires just to kind of make sure they weren't overheating. So it's good enough for now. Not too much more I can test without driving it. So that's it. Fans are installed, wired up, and I showed you how to test them. If you ever want to pay the money for HP tuners to be able to do stuff like this, there's other ways you can test it, of course. You can just ground things out, or you can You can take your engine temperature sensor and stick it in some boiling water, and that should activate both fans. So there's a bunch of ways you can do it. What you doing, buddy? Huh? So what I got going on is letting my engine idle up to temperature. Got it up to 195. Fan 1 kicked on. And now it's dropping down in temperature. I think it's about to hit 185. And that fan should shut off. And there it is, shutting off. So one cooling fan, the driver's side fan on the M300M will cool the engine down just idling. And it's about 85 degrees outside right now. It's kind of in the afternoon, so it's a little bit cool, but I had the hood closed and everything, and it probably took about 3 minutes for it to drop from 195 to 185. So sitting in traffic, it definitely shouldn't overheat even with one fan, so I'm pretty happy with that. Engine sounds good. Exhaust sounds good. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Gonna let it run for a little while more. It's nice and hot, so nothing's leaking. Checking to make sure anything's gonna melt. I've got pretty much everything away from the exhaust, so nothing's had a problem yet. No coolant leaks, no transmission leaks, no oil leaks. Probably test drive it here tomorrow maybe. Not sure when I'll do a smoky burnout, but that'll come at some point. I got these tires that I have on here that it came with, they are shot. This one got some bands coming through it. So I've got some new tires to put on. So I'll be slapping those on. I like these rims and they fit my brakes, so I'm gonna keep those.